Alright, so this go around we're going to be looking at a movie that was recommended. Last three movie reactions that I've done. This one's a bridge too far. Yeah, so without further ado, let's go ahead and get into it. Old footage, it looks like from the war type footage.
The Second World War was in its 5th year and still going Hitler's way.
Nice to see. It's pretty cool to see that they actually use footage from the war itself. And this is an older movie too, so the fact that they did that, I haven't seen many older movies use actual footage. Normally it's recreations of stuff. So
D-Day, June 6th, 1944, when the Allied forces' supplies still had to be driven from Normandy over 400 miles away.
Bro, the logistics of that had to be absolutely just awful. Well, there's Patton.
The long-standing rivalry, each wanted to be the one to defeat the Germans. Each wanted to beat the other. Market garden. Eisenhower, under great pressure from his superiors, finally sided with...
Landing at Normandy and having to take and go through not only the rest, take and go through France, and that's not a small drive either. Going from France to Berlin, it's not a small drive. Look on the map. I'm sure the logistics of everything had to be absolutely atrocious. I love how this movie is started with it's giving backstory on things, right? And it's actually telling you how Montgomery and Patton hated each other. So you got the personal stuff going on there. Both of them wanted to be the ones that took and defeated the Germans. Gotta love how you got generals with egos. Arnhem, Holland, September 1944. This is getting close to the end of everything, or at least there in Europe. Must be machinery and people moving through. It's the reason why everything's...
Panic.
Okay, the volume on this is lower than hell. And I've got everything completely up. So, sounds like he said panic. That had to be a sight to behold. All those troops and the equipment. It had to be a sight to behold on two different fronts. Because first you have the Nazis come through and just basically like, alright, we own this now. You're under our rule. Right? And then to see the Allies come through later on and do liberation. But all of the troops, the first go round and the second go round that you see coming through, hundreds of thousands of people. And I know not everywhere had hundreds of thousands, but just the sheer magnitude of World War II itself. Right? Just...
zum Ausdruck zu bringen, dass Sie, Herr Feldmarschall von Rundstedt, wieder zum Oberbefehlshaber der Weststreitkräfte...
Panzer, Truppen, Nachschub.
Kaum vorhanden.
Moral.
So there's barely anything for him to take over. Non-existent. Yeah, that's what it looks like.
Was sollen wir Ihrer Meinung nach tun?
Haben Sie irgendeine Ahnung, wann die Invasion in Holland stattfinden soll?
So they already know they've... Okay.
Es scheint Sie...
So that had to be something... Because it said at the beginning, Operation Marketplace, which sounded like it's going to be a disaster. So they had to take and know already through the military intelligence issues that they're having. So it'd be fortuitous to take advantage of that at some way, especially as, like they said, minimal air power, minimal ammunition, minimal everything at this point, right? We're 1944, 38, 39. The World War II started, so it said 5 years into it, so yeah, 39. So at this point, everything is of course drawing down, but it seems like he's got some decisions to make, especially when you got them trying to take somewhere and they've got supply problems. It'd be a perfect time to strike.
Washington for trust, where I had a meeting this morning with Field Marshal Montgomery.
We're going to fly 35,000 men 300 miles and drop them behind enemy lines.
35,000. Holy crap. That's
Quite frankly.
they're already having supply chain issues, and you're talking about flying and dropping 35,000 troops behind enemy lines. Like, that's, holy crap, that's a lot of people, number one. But number two, if you're having issues, but since you've taken over Normandy and are pushing in, that only exacerbates whatever problems, because now you got people behind enemy lines, so you can't exactly resupply them. They've got to take and cut an opening for you to take and actually, for them to get any kind of reinforcements or resupplying. Oh my God.
Where is this all going to take place?
We shall seize the bridges. It's all a question of bridges. With thunderclap surprise, you take and hold the bridges there with 101st.
Okay, yeah, this is...
Arnhem Bridge.
I've reacted to... Okay, so this is a movie based on something I've already actually reacted to, as far as a smaller... I believe it was part of the story was in the video I reacted to on the Victoria Cross. And I did one before that talking about the bridges, so... Alright, cool. Because I know I've seen the Arnhem, and it was just not good.
We'll do the 63 miles. You go with your Polish brigade with Roy Urquhart. I'm so sorry.
Turn east, right into the industrial heart of Germany, the Ruhr.
7 days.
Why
Well,
not?
that's not a lot of time.
The sooner we go, the better. We've got them on the run.
I am thrilled that your great Field Marshal Montgomery has devised such a plan. I promise you, I'll be properly ecstatic if it works.
Yeah, the pride in that, pride comes before a downfall. They're so assured it's going to work.
Patton wird den Angriff führen.
Bitterichs Panzertruppen.
Wir sollten sie zurückziehen. Irgendwohin, wo es sicher.
Arnhem.
Oh God, and that's where they're planning on going, so.
It's going to take 3 days to get the men into Arnhem, Poles and the British.
Has it ever been tried before?
Not in a major drop.
You think there might be a reason for that?
Only that the Germans first tried to take Nijmegen Bridge themselves back in 1940.
It's interesting to take and see the whole disapproval from the one general, and now you're 3 days away, or you're leading up to sending men over there, and they're making changes to a plan already. So you've already got moving pieces, and you add changes to those moving pieces, and that's not a recipe for success.
Zeker van de kleur.
Ja, vader.
Model. Veldmaarschalk in Arnhem.
Yeah, I'm sure that would be a shock, having a field marshal there in the same place. Pretends to something probably, that you're not expecting.
The general consensus of opinion is that our opposition will consist entirely of Hitler youth or old men on...
Another low-level reconnaissance of the area. If that's all right with you, sir.
I need drop zones as close as possible to the bridge. Now, clearly this area is no use at all. Presumably you're intending to let us land somewhere.
Oh, yes, hopefully, sir.
Hopefully, that's not very comforting.
But we really think we found the right place.
It would be, out here.
So you don't even have just under 8?
Just making sure whose side you're on.
It's a piss poor way of doing things. I don't blame them. Good God. I mean, I get what they're trying to do, and you can't blame them, because they want to put an end to everything. But Jesus Christ.
Now, a drop zone...
Don't you think that since we know that Arnhem is so crucial to their safety, they might know that too?
Now, look here.
You can't blame him for being that bold either. I'd be surprised if more of the generals that were leading everything under Montgomery didn't throw out some concerns, especially with all the changes being made.
These damn radios are strong enough to carry the 8 miles from the drop zone to Arnhem Bridge.
Shouldn't you tell the general if you're so certain about it, sir?
If I were, believe me, I would. If anyone rocks the boat, it's not going to be me.
And see, it's that kind of bullshit right there that gets people killed. Oh, no, I'm not going to rock the boat, raise any concerns or anything of that nature. any kind of intelligence, anything that can go wrong. If equipment might not work the way it's supposed to, you just, bro, speak up.
Now.
There you go. Well, that's no bueno. You don't want to see that before you send men off to the countryside. He's trying to find reasons to excuse them away. Yep. Fucking. Oh my God. You stupid idiot.
Tanks.
I doubt if they're fully serviceable.
Cancel the biggest operation mounted since D-Day. Because of 3 photographs.
Yeah. Yeah. Or at least make changes to it.
This is a story that you will tell your grandchildren, and mightily bored they'll be. Our job is to punch a hole through the German front line.
Bro, there are so many moving parts. Punch a hole and drive up as the 3 bridges are having people drop to them, and they've got to hold those bridges as you're punching a hole. What happens if you don't punch a hole?
That, gentlemen, is the prize. The bridge over the Rhine. 30 Corps. We, my friends, are the cavalry.
You haven't forgotten my golf clubs, have you?
Oh, they'll be coming later in the staff car, sir.
Golf clubs?
You ready? Have a little strength. There you are. I wish you hadn't done that.
It's an asshole move. You just drop it out. Yeah, that sounds simple enough. Don't die.
This isn't going to keep you alive, is it?
What is?
What is? Well,
You tell me I won't die.
all right. You won't die.
No. Guarantee me.
Well, he's rightfully scared before going out there to it. It'd be hard not to be. Never understood why you want to jump out of a perfectly good airplane. I get it. This is war, so you got to, but would not be my idea of what I'd want to do at any time ever. You'll never see me skydiving for fun. And these fellas got to drop out behind enemy lines.
Organized, it's quite a
bloody miracle. It took 6 months to set up the D-Day drop.
I didn't quite tell you everything at the time, but I'm prone.
At least being seasick, you can use water to wash the vomit off. In a plane, hey, that's a lot of freaking. Of course, 30,000 troops. That's a ton of equipment, though. Oh my God, all those planes. Gliders. It's funny seeing the plane that's pulling the glider. When I was in the A school, or not A school, but when I was in the Coast Guard, actually, after getting done with processing, or not processing. How do I put this? After I'd been processed and went through the MEP station, all that good stuff. So they check out, make sure you're good, and you're not cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, and your knees don't bend backwards and stuff like that. Okay, after all of that. Right, so you get sent home, you get your date to take and leave. Well, I had to take and go to Fort Jackson in Columbia, South Carolina, Army base. That's where I took and actually left out of to go to boot camp for the Coast Guard. We had a layover. We took a flight out of Fort Jackson to Charlotte, North Carolina. The plane from Charlotte, North Carolina to the next layover, which was over in Virginia, which we picked up a couple more people that were supposed to be going to boot camp. The flight from Charlotte to Virginia, the plane, I swear to God, looks like one of these cargo planes. Because you looked out the window and you're seeing the propellers, and you're like, well, I hope they wound that rubber band pretty good. I couldn't imagine being on one of these planes. You've got just these benches that run down each side. You got to get clipped in, and just seeing just everybody that's number one going out all at the same. That had to be one frightening, just because of the sheer goal of this. There's so many the moving pieces to all of this. The soldiers had to be absolutely terrifying. And again, having to jump out of a perfectly good plane. Ugh. Of course, and again, airborne, I get it. That's your job. Just saying. For me personally, it just doesn't sound like good business. But then again, military, airborne, accomplished a whole lot. All your parishioners going outside during the middle of this singing. Yeah, that had to be something to see all the way around as a civilian, as a military person. Just amount of number one people, and if you're on base and you're not part of the operation, seeing all the people getting into the planes, right? But now, as a citizen, as a regular civilian, seeing all the planes flying overhead had to be just absolutely crazy. Like, holy cow. Of course, I'm saying this, and I forget, and I overlook the fact as I'm saying this, that they've already seen it. They've probably seen it multiple times, but probably in a much different fashion. Probably enemy and probably fighting over top and everything of that nature. But it's just still just because you don't see stuff like that nowadays. You don't see all the planes leaving out to take and go to battle, or just flying out. You're like, oh, what are they up to? Normally you see a plane or two, maybe a small formation of planes, but the sheer number of planes leaving there.
We should be able to clear the way pretty well. Your initial advance. This isn't going to be the pushover that everybody seems to think it is.
No, I didn't think so.
So they're already knowing that it's going to be a harder job than what the higher ups have made it out to be.
Into the line ahead of us.
Yes, they obviously don't intend to just let us.
Well, they know that the Allies push through, it's just a short walk into Germany, and they're trying, as they're pulling back, they've got to still put up a resistance, so that way.
Schedule. So for God's sake, keep your tanks on the move. It changes, Bob.
Yes, sir. If the advance runs into difficulty, we're to call in the Air Force with purple smoke.
God, the moving parts on this. There's so many troops going to so many different places. One's trying to break through front lines. They're going to try to take bridges behind enemy lines. And it seems like a lot of the intelligence was just left on the ground. Like, nah, we don't need to hear that. Or we don't need to, because it interferes with what they're wanting to do. They're just being bullheaded. And all, yeah, radio ahead, we got something's going on. Bro, that had to be something else too. Seeing all the people, all the troops parachuting out. There's so many canopies that probably give you some shade as they're falling, because there's just so many of them. It's astounding. And they had to get out of there rather quickly to make sure they got the land, or at least try to get into the landing area as much as possible, or as close as possible to it. Because you get too far away from your platoon or your company, and you're running some issues. The most frightening part of that probably had to be the journey to the ground, because now you're at the mercy of whatever troops might be up underneath you of the enemy. 65 miles behind enemy lines, and you've got to hold bridges for 3 days. But this is the part right here where it had to be heart and throat, because if they see you and they start shooting, there's nothing you could do. They're not maneuverable whatsoever.
If there's no more opposition from this on the river road, we should be all right.
But they're overly optimistic about all of this. There's no more opposition to this on the road, and we should have no problem. A surprise landing behind their lines it's not a surprise for long.
Britische Fallschirmjäger sind anscheinend gelandet. 3 Kilometer von hier.
Ich bin hier wertvoll.
There's the ego,
Sie sind alle nur
self-importance.
gekommen, um mich gefangen zu nehmen.
There's a Jeep.
Über Holland abspringen. Ist das Tatsache?
Ja, das ist richtig. Westlich von Arnhem.
Die wollen die Brücke.
Ja? Das macht nichts. Ich kümmere mich um Arnhem. Sie versuchen so schnell wie möglich nach Nimwegen durchzukommen. Da darf keiner rüberkommen, klar? Sie müssen die Brücke unter allen Umständen halten.
So now their plan is to make sure that the Allied forces can't take it. So now you've got the resistance force set up. So you had the element of surprise, but it only lasts for so long. And you know 8 to 10 miles away from your objective, that gives the opposite side a lot of time to get where they need to go. So yeah, that's Jesus.
Johnny Frost and the 2nd Battalion are already on the River Road.
No one's going to get to Arnhem Bridge except on foot. Splendid.
Sound-powered phones. Looks like, you know, from where those guns are shooting to where it's landed, it don't look like it's that far away. Imagine the chaos, something like that. And it looks like that's a long road. They're talking about 3 days, 2 days to take and get to that, to get to those bridges, right? Imagine how many other places you can get ambushed from as you're trying to get to your troops that are behind enemy lines. Dude, this is...
Hell do they expect us to keep to schedule on a road like this? You don't know the worst.
I mean, yes, that's going to be the intelligence plan. Oh, yep, of course.
30 Corps or England.
So no one knows we've arrived safely.
See, that's the reason why you double check stuff. When you make stuff is in working order. So they're on their own. Nobody... Oh, Jesus Christ. Completely cut off.
Wenn es zum Äußersten kommt, dass wir die Brücken von Arnhem und Nimwegen...
Wir brauchen sie für unseren Gegenangriff.
Gegenangriff? Mit was?
I will enjoy the moment when we reach the bridge and when we find the bridge intact. It will.
So they're just trying to get through and they're getting mobbed. And he knows that things can change. Like I said, everybody's so overly optimistic that this is going to work. Oh, they're going to double time it. Okay. Oh. Well, there goes that bridge. Have to find another way to get it to get through.
Still no contact, sir.
Then keep at it. I should be back shortly. Brigadier laughed, but he can't have gone that.
Our British cousins to hustle up some Bailey stuff.
Yes, sir.
I'll meet him in Eindhoven.
Eindhoven! We won't make it tonight. It'll be dark shortly. We're the cavalry. It would be bad form to arrive in advance of schedule.
Yo, the romanticization of the cavalry right there. That was funny.
Dieser Plan? Das ist sowieso falsch. Ist nur ein Trick.
Why do I get the feeling that some of his generals or some of his generals are going to be calling somebody a little bit higher than him and be like, hey, get rid of this idiot. Because they're all just perplexed. And rightfully so. You've got everything pointing to what they're doing. No, it's not why they're here. Whatever.
Well, we're completely blocked ahead of us. There's a good deal more resistance than we've been led to expect.
Oh! Well.
Look, if we can reach them, there's some houses out in that direction.
We can get ourselves organized and...
That had to be just nothing but chaos. Nothing but freaking chaos. They've got no communications with anybody else that's in the field. You've got one bridge leading to that is on a road that takes you to a bridge that's supposed to be taken. No, that's blown up. So you don't have that route. Now you got to find another way to that one. And you got a German field marshal with his head up his rear end, but that's besides the point here. All these moving parts. Some of these guys are having a lot better time to start off with so far. So, oh man. And I'm sure with all of the optimism and all of the rah-rahs, this boom-bah and stuff like that, and how much they were told it's going to succeed by the superiors, having any kind of early success is going to take and lend you to, all right, yeah, this is going exactly to plan and everything of that nature. And that's just in that one spot, though, and they don't know how everything else is going. So the discombobulation that's going on, it's just a recipe for absolute and utter disaster. Well, I did just walk in unimpeded, but awful quiet. Like everything looks deserted as all get out. Okay, there's another person, or two people.
Look here, I'm awfully sorry, but I'm afraid we're going to have to occupy our house.
Imagine being told we got to occupy your house, just commandeering somebody's house. As a homeowner, I'd be kind of, I mean, you're supposed to be deliberating for, so you're not exactly going to be overly upset, probably, but probably not going to be overly happy neither.
Pile all this furniture against the windows, all right?
And they're just breaking out the windows. Perfect view of the bridge, that's for sure. What are you doing? Mary Poppins and walking with a umbrella? Machine gun nest. Oh, they are so exposed. Frightening. Absolutely frightening. You just going to get set up and all of a sudden out of nowhere the machine gun fire. Enough smoke, thankfully, to blur any type of vision. They can get the wounded out of there. Golly, though, that had to be absolutely... Because there's nothing. You're seeing no movement. You're hearing no sound. You look down there, you just see people milling about. Like, it had to be... Oh, dude. That's awful. Are they going to try to burn them out? I mean... I don't blame them, I would too, but you got to get awful close with that. Well, you don't have to get right up on them, but still. Because it throws a flame, but that's definitely taking a risk. Granted, it's under the cover of night. No. And... Oh, hit the ammo. Oh no. You cause damage to the bridge that way. If you're going to be using the bridge to get your troops across once you've got it entrenched so you can move into Germany, it's not good.
Mutter verzweifelt.
Colonel Frost, they're coming, sir.
Excuse me.
So you've already had to take a retreat from on the bridge because of the machine gunner's nest, right? And had go there under the cover of night, use a flamethrower. You're gonna try to take out the nest like that, but instead you miss. You hit the ammunition bunker, and now the next morning you've got the opposing troops coming over. That's the beginnings of a bad day. And we're gonna stop it right here. This will be part one, and we'll do this in 2 parts. That way it's easier to upload and edit as well. This right here, man, like I said, I know I reacted to, and I believe it was part of the Victoria Cross video, where I was talking about the bridges. And I know I was recommended at that point in time to look at this movie. The fact that there's so many moving parts, right? And now you got to figure. Succeeded in Normandy, they're still fighting like hell, but they're showing really, they're starting to really take some losses. They're starting to really run down on supplies as far as, the Air Force and things of that nature are already, if I'm not mistaken, at this point in time, their Air Force is already pretty much non-existent, other than maybe in Germany, and I think that's probably about it at that point. I know it wasn't what it was at the beginning of the war, at least, but it was very much drawn down at that point. Like their Air Force was very much not what it was. So you lose out North Africa, so there goes oil, number one. The oil fields in North Africa, so there's number one. You've lost that, so now you're having a harder time getting fuel and oil and everything for your tanks and your other moving machinery. So this right here by the Allies to actually try this, take the bridges. That way you've got 3 different entry points to actually push further into Germany. It's a good strategic, strategically it makes sense to do something like this, but there's so many moving parts, and the intel that was discarded before this has even started is just, oh man. And we've already seen, due to the fact that they're cut off from everybody, right? The phones that they're using, the phones that they're using in the field, they're not working. They're not getting a hold of the different battalions or the platoons that you've come in with that are taking the different bridges, so you can't know what's going on. You don't know if the road's being taken, so you don't know if once you take the bridge, the next day, the day after, if you're going to have backup from a main force. So it's just so many moving parts, and it's not looking good in some places so far. So already too many things with these moving parts is just not going right. The special Jeeps ain't come in. So I love the fact that they've got a star-studded cast, right? James Caan, Michael Caine, Sean Connery. Says Robert Redford. I haven't seen Robert Redford, but then again, I don't remember what Robert Redford looks like young. But you got all these big name actors, and even then they had some renown to them, right? And they're in this movie. I'm glad y'all recommended this, and I decided to look at it. So, that being said, be coming out with part 2 here in a little bit. Hope y'all enjoyed this. Y'all be good to each other. Love yourselves. Peace.